everybody, it's Tina over at the Bourbon Cactus and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's been 2 weeks since Doodlebug's adenoid surgery, so I wanted to give a follow-up about how she was doing and kind of how surgery went. So like I said, it's been almost exactly 2 weeks. Today would be 2 weeks since we were discharged from the hospital. So she did really good for surgery, she did well. So this might get kind of long, but I'm going to try to keep it short because, I mean, I could probably go on and on and on about it, like all the little things, but I'll try to keep it short. So surgery, like I said, went really well. Since she's over 2, I was actually able to be in the holding area with her in the OR while she went to sleep, which was really weird. That was the first time in all the surgeries that we've had that I have been there when they've put her to sleep. Typically when they're young, they don't let you in the room because it's just kind of uncomfortable and hard for both the child and the parent. So I've never seen that part. This time I was there and it was uncomfortable. It was a bit awkward. One, she was oddly calm. And I don't know if it's because she knew that there was something going on or whatever, but she just was very calm. But there were also a lot of people there, so she kind of has this thing, if there's a lot of people and, the energy's kind of focused towards her, she gets very shy and kind of drawn in. So I think there was me, the nurse that took her, the OR nurse that came and picked us up from our pre-op room to take us to our OR suite. So we had her, there were 2 anesthesia nurses, or doctors, I'm sorry, and I think one more person in the room. So we were all there, with her at the bed. So she was kind of, she just lay there. She didn't on the bed, as they pushed her down the hall. And even in the room, like I said, she was, I don't know, it was kind of weird. So I sat with her on the bed, with her Charlie Brown blanket and Momo, which is Moana, which is a plush Moana doll she loves. I sat there on the bed with her while they put her to sleep, and they just put a mask over her nose and mouth and gave her some gas to put her to sleep. She went to sleep super quick. I'd say less than 30 seconds. So it was a bit weird, uncomfortable. Just, I guess, I don't know. I was taken off guard. I didn't really expect to be in the room with her while they put her to sleep. I forgot that I was going to be there while they did that. And I didn't expect it to go so quick. I thought it would be, I don't know, a lot longer than what it was. But so once they got her to sleep, I had to leave and go to the surgical waiting area. And I was in there for probably 30 minutes. When I got the call that I could go into one of the meeting rooms and talk with the doctor. So her doctor was waiting on me when I got in there. She was like, surgery went really good. She said it was fast. She said she did great. There were no problems. They said the word she goes, they were big, talking about her adenoids, which we knew they were large, but I guess when she really got in there working, they were a lot bigger than they originally thought. But she said that they melted off beautifully, and what that meant is that they'd use a laser when they take the adenoids out, so they just kind of burn them off, and they just kind of melt away. And they just to heal, there's no stitches or anything like that. They just kind of scab over, and that's how they heal up. And so she said that, all of that went really well. She did tell me that she could have really stinky breath for a little while, for a couple weeks, just due to like the scabs and the healing process, to not be alarmed by that, but it was going to be, it was going to happen probably. And it was kind of funny. So I laughed at her. I was like, okay. And then she gave us, the rundown on, what to look for, to know if there were any issues after surgery, that kind of thing. And then, she asked me if I had questions. I was like, no, not really. And so she was like, okay, well, she said, after she starts waking up in the recovery, she said, you can go back and see her. So I went back out to the waiting area, and about probably 20 minutes later, they called me to go back into recovery to see her. She wasn't really awake when I went back. She was kind of alert, but she was still laying on the bed, eyes closed, that kind of thing. They had they had intubated her when they did the surgery to kind of, that way her airway was not compromised or anything like that during surgery because of going through the nasal passage. So the tube had been taken out in recovery. She still had her leads on, her pulse oximeter on her foot, and she had an IV run still that was in her hand, her right hand. And it had been boarded and wrapped up and stuff, so she couldn't, yank that out or anything like that. So when I got into our little area in the OR, when I got into our little area of the OR, the recovery nurse let me pick her up and hold her. So I got her, and I was just holding her and talking to her, and bless her heart, her little face was so swollen. I know that was because of all the anesthesia and stuff, so it was okay. I handled this one really well, I felt like, this surgery. It's like I've said before, it's always a bit uncomfortable to have to go through surgery with your child, but I don't know, like this one, I guess, seemed like a super simple procedure. So I was okay. Didn't really bother me that much at all. The only thing was I don't think I expected her to be so swollen, so that was a little hard. And then I had only been back there a couple minutes, I guess, when she started really kind of waking up more, and she was getting really fussy, to the point like she couldn't be consoled. So I talked about it with a nurse. We decided that she needed to get something for pain. So they did give her a very, very small dose of morphine. And they pushed that through her IV. And then honestly, it pretty much worked immediately. Once it actually like went through and got into her system, she really started calming down, and you could tell just me holding her, like she was just relaxing more, not to the point like she was over medicated, just that like she wasn't so tense and uncomfortable. So that was a good thing. I think we were in recovery for about an hour before we were transported up to a room. We ended up being put in the complex airways intensive care unit. That's just because not that she was having breathing problems, with the surgery and that kind of thing. They just wanted to be able to keep a good eye on her, to make sure that there were no respiratory problems, following the surgery and that kind of thing, because she did have, we were having surgery because of sleep apnea. And if you want more information about why we were having surgery and how we found out we were going to have it, I will leave a link in the description that will link to that other video to explain that better. But so that's where we were. By the time we got up to the room, she was pretty awake. Transport she didn't move much, but her eyes were really open, and you could tell that she was like aware of what was going on, of the noises in the hallway, people talking, that kind of thing. So that was really nice to see, because I was afraid that recovery was going to be very hard, because it has been in the past. So all the other surgeries that she's had, we've had a lot of pain medication because the pain has just been unbearable for her. And she's just one of those. And I've been told that because she's a redhead, that redheads handle pain differently, and they're a little bit harder to, get that pain under control. So you kind of do typically have to give them more medication or whatever to control it. So, but like I said, this time, super simple. They just gave her the one shot of morphine, and like I said, it was like a minute amount. Like, it was so like small, but enough, just to kind of like chill her out and let her relax, so she wasn't, going berserk and turning into the Hulk on us, which she has done several times. Like, we have a joke in our family, that she is the Hulk. Like, instead of turning green, she turns red, because she does, and she always has since she was a baby. Like, she would get mad really easily, and like her whole face and her body would just turn red because she would be so like agitated. But anyway, so we didn't have, the Hulk did not show up this surgery at all, so that was good. So once we got in the room and got settled, the stipulation to go home, and they weren't going to send us home that day, but they said even for the next day she had to be eating and drinking. So they were like, encourage her to eat and drink, whenever she's ready. So, I'd ask her every about 15 minutes or so, hey, Mama, you want Mama to get you some water? You want something to drink? And she said no. So I started to get a little bit concerned because she wasn't eating, because she wasn't drinking anything. The nurses were fine with it. They said, you know what, it's okay. She just may not be feeling it right now. And I was like, okay. So I guess it was probably around noon-ish, maybe 12, maybe it might have been 12:30. So surgery time was 7 that morning. So around noon, anywhere from noon to 1, I think, is when she finally took her first drink of water. And she just took little sips, like anybody would do after surgery. She did really well. And then all of a sudden, she looked up at me because she kept wanting me to hold her, which was totally fine. Like, like as a parent, you're like, oh, yes, I will gladly hold you. So she finally looked up at me. She was like, Mama, I'm hungry. I was like, okay. I was like, what would you want to have? I'll get you whatever you want. And of course she wanted something she couldn't have, which was blueberries. She loves blueberries, but the hospital didn't have any, and even if they did, she wasn't allowed to have them anyway, because her diet was a toddler gluten-free diet, and blueberries are considered a choking hazard. So no blueberries were allowed, and like I said, they didn't have them anyway, so it wasn't an issue. So instead, I talked her into some other things, and I probably ordered like 6 different things from the room service menu to have delivered, because I didn't know what she was going to eat. You know what I mean? Like, who knew? Because you waking up after surgery, you don't know what they're going to feel like, what they're going to really have the taste for, what's going to be comfortable, because they did intubate her. They said her throat may be a little sore, from, inserting and taking the tube out. So I kind of ordered a little bit of everything. I will tell you what they delivered from what I ordered. She ate everything. So I ordered her a container, an applesauce, which is, the little individual containers, a gluten-free muffin, which they're the Udis gluten-free muffins. And if if you're gluten-free, or you've even, you don't have to be gluten-free to eat them, because they're actually really good. If you've seen them, they're pretty big. They're like, I don't know, good 4 inches tall and 4 inches around. So they're huge, huge muffins. So she ate one of those, an applesauce, a individual, like the little bitty, like what I would call like the school boxes of Cheerios, and a milk. And then she had, what else did she eat? She had strawberries, and I think that was it. Like, she ate all of that, like, in no time flat. Like, less than 10 minutes, she had downed every bit of it, which was kind of funny, because she's this really petite thing. So she ate all of that, and she did really good, and bless her heart, I told you, like, her right arm had, her hand had the IV, and it was all boarded, so she couldn't use that hand at all. Dude, she was a champ with the left arm, and feeding herself, with her spoon, her cereal. I mean, she got it a little bit on her, but, like, not hardly anything at all, like I probably would have if that were me. So she did really good. So, like, she was eating and drinking, like, honestly, really awesome. I think she ate, so by the time the food got delivered to us, it was probably 1:30 something, I don't know. So between that afternoon till she went to bed at night, she had eat 3 times. Like, that's a lot. And, like, I'm not saying, like, snack things. Like, she ate 3 trays of food that we ordered, and she just did really good. So I wasn't concerned about that. I figured they'd let us go home since she was eating and drinking so well. The nurse kept asking, like, fluid intake. They want to make sure, is she, drinking? Is she going to the bathroom? She is potty trained, and honestly, she did so good while we were gone. I was so proud of her. She didn't have any accidents, like, at all. Even through surgery, she didn't even wet her pull-up at all. Like, I was shocked. Like, adults don't even do that well, you know what I'm saying? Like, they didn't catheterize her or anything. Like, they let her wear a pull-up, and she didn't even have an accident or pull up, and she made it to the bathroom every time. So, as far as watching fluid intake and output and that kind of thing, they just come in every, like, hour. Is she drinking? How much do you think she drank? Has she gone to the bathroom any? That kind of thing. And she had done really well with it. So there was no concerns there. I did bring up a little bit of a concern. Kind of a good part of the day, her left foot was really, I don't want to say swollen, because yes, I know it was swollen, but it wasn't like huge and puffy and that kind of thing. It was really tight. Like, her little skin on her foot was tight and just, like, really firm, and like I said, a little bit swollen. It wasn't hot or anything like that. The right foot was a little bit tight, not as bad as the left, but it went down quite a bit, but the left one just, for some reason, just kind of, like, kept hanging on. We had the nurses look at it, the PA looked at it, even the doctor, when they made rounds that night, looked at it, and decided that, it was fine, that it was just from the anesthesia. And honestly, by the time she went to sleep that night, which she had a really late bedtime, just because of a lot of stuff going on and all that, she was, like, I think closer to, like, 9 o'clock when she went to bed, which is really late for her. So by the time she went to bed, though, like, the swelling had gone down, like, considerably. So that was nice. She, as far as how that night went, she slept really well. Considering, like, we didn't have to give her any medication or anything like that. And honestly, she really only woke up, like, twice. She woke up a bit fussy, crying. Of course, I got out of my little pull-out bed, went over to her, and, I was able to console her to get her back to sleep. So, she slept pretty good. She was a bit noisy still, as far as, like, snoring and that kind of thing. She did get a little hot, which might have been one of the reasons she woke up. So after that first time, I did crank the thermostat down, like, because she's just a hot sleeper. Like, she's a hot box. So I turned the air down as cool as I could get it, and, it was still not, like, miserable for me, because I had to get some rest too. And then she seemed to do a little bit better, like I said. As far as the snoring goes, I did ask about that. And they told me several times, it's going to be normal. The snoring may be worse for the next little bit just because of swelling. And I wouldn't say it was like horrible. It wasn't that much worse than a typical night before that. You know what I mean? So, that was fine. The next morning, she actually slept in. She slept till around like 7:30, I think it was, 7:15, which is kind of late for her because she had been waking up between 6 and 7 in the morning, So she had done fine. We met our new nurse, and she told us that, we could go home. Probably they were going to make rounds and then talk to us. So then when the attending doctors and nurses came around, they asked if we had any concerns or, any questions or anything like that. I was like, nope. I was like, she's doing good. She's eating. She's fine. I feel like, and, they checked her out and they said, you know what, we'll let you go home. So, of course, that takes forever. So, but the nurse was like, okay, once she has taken in 8 ounces of fluids, she's able to be discharged. So it's like, okay, that works. So, I expected her to eat like she did the day before, like eat really good. She did not want anything. I was frustrated. Like I was frustrated like to the 10th power because 1, she'd eaten so good the day before. 2, I was afraid they were going to change their mind about letting us go home because she wasn't really eating what I thought she'd be eating, but evidently she ate enough or drank enough. She did have like half of a boiled egg, like 8 ounces of milk, and a little bit of applesauce, and I guess that was enough. I think 8 ounces was all she had to even take in. So she had that. They were like, okay, you can go home now. So they went and got the discharge papers and let us go. As far as sending us home with medication or anything, we just had Tylenol and ibuprofen for pain. I got some. Honestly, I never gave it to her because I didn't feel like she needed anything. We hadn't given her anything up to that point besides, since we left the recovery. Hadn't given her any pain medication at all. So I didn't see a need to give it to her just to give it to her. So didn't. She did have a steroid that she had to take. I don't remember what the name of it was right now because she only had 2 pills. Or 3 pills, I think it was. She had 3 pills. So she had to take one every other day. So she had 3 to take, and she took them every other day. So she took one on Saturday after surgery, and then she had Monday and then Wednesday of the next week. And we just hid that in her yogurt, and she took it really well. So there was nothing wrong with that. And then after that, honestly, swelling and stuff went down really quick as far as, noticing a difference in breathing and that kind of thing. And she seems to be doing well. Her temperament has been a lot better. She doesn't seem as tired when she wakes up, which before, like I said, she would, like an hour after she would get up from sleeping all night long, and she would just look completely drained and exhausted. And she looked totally fine. Like she's doing great. We're still having some like behavior issues. So I'm not really sure that all of those before surgery were related to the lack of sleep. It could just be terrible twos, or it could be, something else. So I'm just going to keep an eye on that. But yeah, it was pretty simple surgery this time. Like I said, she did really well. Surgery went good. Recovery was good. And now we're just waiting for our next sleep study. So that actually got that scheduled 2 days ago. And we go back in October for another sleep study to just make sure everything is going fine, making sure the surgery that we just had for the adenoids is like taking care of everything. And then we will also have a follow-up visit with our upper airways clinic doctors to go over, everything that's going on with her still with breathing and that kind of thing to make sure everything's good and go over the sleep study results. So I will let y'all know, of course, how that goes. So thanks for checking in with us. If you have had a child with adenoid surgery, I would love to hear how, yours goes. And if you have any questions, about Pierre Robin, cleft palate, or the sleep apnea, or any of that stuff that we have had to go through, if you have questions and you just want somebody to reach out to and talk to, do not hesitate to comment, or send me a message, or, hop on over to the blog and leave me a message there, whatever you want to do, because, it can be difficult finding your tribe when you have a child that has, some medical issues, because you kind of feel like you're the only one and that you're the only one that's ever had to go through this. And, it's not very common as it is. So, if you need somebody to talk to, I'm here for you. I mean, I feel like, I didn't really know anybody when I started on this journey with Doodlebug. So I would love to be that person for you if you would like somebody to talk to. So anyway, thanks for sticking it out and finding out how surgery went. I want to say thank you to everybody that gave us well wishes beforehand, and have checked in on us, and we really appreciate it. And I'll talk to you